Hello, it is I, the Legit Peasant. You might know me from the Discord that my buddy streams from. Wanted to make this little video just to talk about the Warbonds that exist in Helldivers, whether you're a returning player after some of the nonsense that has gone on over the last half a year or so that the game has existed. And just talk about them and let you know my thoughts. Obviously, it's your discretion, but, you know, if you're thinking of getting your hands on a new Warbond, just thought I'd share my opinions on them and just let you know what I think of them and see if I can perhaps give a little bit of advice. So obviously, Helldivers Mobilized, that's the standard one. We're not going to talk about that one. You should probably have all the stuff that's in here. It's completely free. No real reason not to go for it. So now let's talk about these passes. Now, a couple of them I don't have because I've played the game on and off, so I've not really caught up entirely. I've caught up a fair bit. There's only one or two passes I think that I'm missing at this point. And those are passes that I don't think I'll particularly get much out of. Or they're just ones that I haven't got around to getting yet. So we'll start off with Cutting Edge, since it's the first one here. I have no experience with this one whatsoever. However, I have heard from people that do have it that it is actually a pretty good pass. The sickle is probably one of the largest highlights. It is a las weapon, so it obviously works like a laser, but it works like a fully automatic rifle. So it has a little bit of spool up time when you first initially hold the trigger, and then it will progressively continue firing little projectiles at the enemy, essentially, is what it's doing. Now, it's light armor pen and it does heat damage, so you could apply it in a couple of different ways. I have had a little bit of a go with it when one of my friends died, and obviously I got a chance to pick it up and give it a try. It seems okay. It's fairly standard. I think the real gimmick with this thing is that obviously with it being a las weapon, it uses heat sinks, not magazines, so you never run out of ammunition with it. You just have to swap out heat sinks every now and again, because obviously if you continuously hold down the trigger, they overheat and you have to swap them out. So, that's how that works. The armor provides 95% resistance to arc damage. There's a few electrical weapons and things of that nature in the game, and electricity pretty much one-shots you if it decides that it really doesn't like you that day. So, having this is not a bad idea, but, you know, that's only if you're really planning on using electrical stuff. In my opinion, it's not the nicest looking armor. It's kind of ugly. I'm not a fan of beige, but, you know, like, some people will like it. There is also a green alternative. Again, it has the same bonus, the same armor passive and stuff like that. This looks slightly better, I would say. This is a medium armor set, and is the first one... They're both medium armor sets. Okay, so you do have to keep that in mind. So if you don't really like running medium armor, then, yeah, there you go. The Punisher Plasma. So this is the pump shotgun that you would normally always have as, you know, because it's in the standard pass. And it just fires plasma. The plasma does have an arc. It's like a really big ball projectile, and it does have a significant drop-off to it. However, in the testing that some of my friends have done, once again, it does seem very good. It seems really good against bots, from what I understand. It has medium armor pen, which is a very big plus for me, because personally, I like medium armor pen. I don't like light armor pen unless it gets a nice little side grade that makes it a bit more appealing. Which, there are a few weapons like that in the game, so there is that to consider. And of course, this also does explosion damage, so it can deal with big groups of dudes fairly easily and stuff like that. Seems like it's more centered towards bots, but again, you could probably give this a go against bugs and see how well it does there. There's the stun grenade. I've not really heard much praise about the stun grenade. I think, generally speaking, it's probably one of the weakest grenades in the game. But, again, I've not really had any experience with it, so I can't really say. And then lastly, there is the Blitzer, and then there is the Sickle. The Blitzer is an interesting one. As far as I recall, I think this is basically supposed to be a smaller version of the Arc Thrower. The Arc Thrower is, of course, a support weapon, and you essentially, it's the Arc Thrower, but it's on a more compact package. I don't really have much to say about this thing, aside from the fact that obviously it does have a medium armor pen, which might be a bit appealing, but generally from what I've heard, this is basically just a worse version of the Arc Thrower, so that is worth considering as well. But overall, it's okay. Like, it's obviously been reworked as of late. There was a very big weapons rework that was done a while ago, so it could be a lot better than it once was. Again, I can't really say though. Oh, and there is also, as I've just realised, there is a light armor version of the armor set. So if you prefer light armor, then there you go. The dagger. Excuse me, I thought this was called the sickle. No, it's called the dagger. And the dagger is essentially the las rifle that's just a constant beam, which I believe is the sickle, if I remember rightly. I'll double check in a second. This is basically just a compact version of that, so if you don't want to bring the primary version of it, you've got the secondary version. Obviously, it's a little bit downgrading in terms of its damage and things like that, but overall, it's effectively the same weapon. And just to make sure that I'm not bullshitting you, let me find the energy weapons. I know, that's the scythe. Where the fuck's the sickle then? I think the sickle must be in another pass. There's so many weapons that have, like, like blade names, and it's weird. Anyway, we shall move on. And next up, there's Democratic Detonation. I do have some experience with this pass, and I have to say, it's pretty good. A lot of the stuff that's in here is actually really decent. The Adjudicator is okay, in my opinion. It's kind of a side grade to the Liberator Penetrator, which is one of my favourite primaries to bring against bots. It's obviously got medium armor pen and things of that nature. It has a slightly smaller magazine. It kicks a little bit harder. Its fire rate's a bit slower. And I believe its damage is higher. So it's kind of a weird side grade. It's okay. This weapon used to be really, really terrible, but now it's a lot better than it has ever been before. Thermite grenades are one of the best grenades in the game, and it is my absolute favourite grenade to use. They are essentially sticky grenades, and when they explode, they pretty much one-shot every single heavy in the game, aside from Factory Striders and Bile Titans. So you can kill chargers with it, you can kill tanks with it, you can kill hulks with it. You're very hard pressed to find something that this thing can't kill. It can also one-shot the bot fabricators, the little bot fabricators. That it can one-shot those. It really is quite a versatile grenade. Obviously the biggest downside to it being that you only get a really small amount of them, but you can offset that with the armor. The armor, I have to say, this was the armor that I was wearing before I'm running the armor that I am now, which is from Truth Enforcers. We'll get to that in a little bit. The reducing recoil while prone or crouching, that's whatever, but the really big thing is it increases your initial inventory and holding capacity of throwables by 2. What that's essentially saying, of course, is you can carry more grenades. With the thermite grenades, that's a really nice thing to have. It really does allow you to just sort of really diversify your loadout. If you don't want to go with like an explosive anti-tank or something like that, you can very easily just get some of these, slap them on some tanks, and just watch them just go bye-bye. It does take a while for them to explode. It's a pretty long delay, but it is definitely worth it, because as you can see, the damage on this thing is just absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, these things are really, really powerful. One of the strongest grenades in the game. I cannot recommend those enough. Next up, we have more armor. Once again, this is again, it has the same passive and everything, but this is light armor, so you can run a little bit faster with it. I have to say, I do quite like it. It also looks really cool as well. So if that's, sorry. So if that's more your bag, I wish you could fucking click and drag and move this all around, but you can't, sadly. But yeah, if that's more your bag, if you like your light armor, you'll definitely like this stuff. Looks really cool, really nice. And then you get the Eruptor. The Eruptor went through a phase of being one of the most powerful weapons in the game to being extremely handicapped with regards to what it used to be able to do, which was explode and create loads of shrapnel. They have now reinstated that, so now it is effectively back to the way it was, but a little bit more balanced, if I recall correctly. And this thing's great. It's high explosive, so you can use it to destroy bug holes, destroy fabricators, and things like that. It can't really deal with heavies, unfortunately, but you can. What you can do is, if you've got a whole bunch of scout striders walking towards you, for example, you could shoot the ground behind them, and the explosion and shrapnel will kill all of the pilots, so they'll all just flop over dead, which is really quite funny. Really cool weapon. I used to really not like this thing. I do quite like it now, but I've not run it in a while because I've had other things that I preferred. There is the booster, Expert Extraction Pilot. It's not great. It basically just reduces the time it takes for the extraction shuttle to arrive. It's not great. I can't say that's a great booster. It's kind of mediocre, if I'm honest, so yeah, probably skip out on that. And as you can see, I've not actually bought it with medals, because I've just never really seen much point in wasting medals on it, because it just doesn't seem worth getting. I suppose, actually, on that note, I should take a look at the booster in here as well. My apologies for jumping around so much. Increases the time between enemy encounters. I'd say that's okay if you're in solo mode, but it's a bit vague as to what that's actually doing. So yeah, there is that to consider as well. Next up, page 3. Page 3, you get once again, you do get some. You get a slightly different armor. This one does not have the increased capacity to your grenades, but what it does do is it makes you more resistant to explosive damage. It does look a bit ridiculous because you have a iron chin, pretty much, and it's a heavy armor. So, like, if you like running heavy armor, then it's probably pretty good for you. But yeah, I'm not much of a heavy armor guy myself. And then you get the exploding crossbow. I'm going to be honest, the exploding crossbow and the eruptor are very, very, very similar. There really is not much difference between them, except the crossbow is one-handed and has significantly greater drop-off. So you do need to aim more carefully with the crossbow. And also it does not have the shrapnel effect as far as I understand it. But you do get the one-handed capability if you like running the ballistic shield backpack. As in like the one that's like a riot shield. So if that's what you like to run, then that's an alright choice as well. And then you get the grenade pistol. It's pretty much what it says on the tin. It's a breech loading single shot grenade launcher. It's okay. Like, I've used it a little bit. It's not my favorite pistol by a long way, but you know, like if you like your explodey stuff and you want to bring a primary that's a little bit more of an assault rifle or something of that description, then you could bring the grenade pistol to deal with like bug holes and things of that nature. But it's yeah, it's not really my thing. And that's Democratic Detonation. As you can probably tell by its name, it's very explosive focused. Next up, Viper Commandos. Viper Commandos is one that was very, very, very popular when it first came out. I have to say, I don't really know as if I care for this pass, really, because while the armor does look cool, it's pretty useless functionally, as it basically increases your melee damage, which is really just not great. If you're melee killing like bugs, you're in trouble. Because it's just, yeah, it's not fantastic. It's not a great bonus. People have messed around memeing with the marksman rifle, the Constitution that we got recently for Liberty Day. People have been messing around with that and doing like the bayonet thing with it. It's funny. It's a meme, but I think functionally it's completely fucking useless. So, as cool as this armor looks, I really don't think it is going to really be a good. It's really quite a hard sell for me personally. Although I must admit, it does look really fucking cool. So, like, drip factor, if you like your drip factor, if you like a little bit of the cheeky Vietnam War sort of stuff going on, this pass is probably the thing for you. The drop pods look cool, and there's a whole bunch of other cosmetics. Next, we have the Liberator Carbine, again, with the forest green sort of look. It's basically the regular Liberator, except the barrel has been shortened even further somehow, and the fire rate is through the goddamn roof. So if you want to empty your magazines as fast as humanly possible, this is the gun for you. I don't care for the regular Liberator, so the Liberator Carbine is just the regular Liberator, but worse, in my opinion. So, yeah, like, if you like silly bullet vomit, then like, good for you. Go get it. But like, it's not really something that I could see myself personally getting. You have some more armor here. Again, it has the same silly passive, but it's slightly bulkier. This is actually heavy armor, so there's that to take into consideration as well. Again, you get some really cool cosmetics. I do have to say, the way that the cosmetics are really cool, like the ships and stuff like that, that looks really nice. And then you get the Bushwhacker. The Bushwhacker is a 3-shot sawed-off shotgun. It's kind of goofy, I guess, but again, it's light armor pen, so it's not really my sort of thing. It is one-handed, so you can use it with a shield. It's there. If I remember right, this thing has a really huge pellet spread, so it's good for clearing crowds of dudes, but that's probably about all you're going to be doing with this. And then lastly, again, you get some more cosmetics. So you get a cosmetic for the exosuit. You get the throwing knives. These actually got buffed quite considerably as of late. And they are, from what I understand, they're okay. They're alright. You do get a lot of them now. You get like 20 of them, if I recall. So, and these go in your grenade slot, obviously. So that's what you're doing there. So yeah, that's what's going on there. And then the one and only thing that I would say is actually really worth getting in Viper Commandos personally is the booster Experimental Infusion. It's basically methamphetamine stims. They last for a really long time. You get a hilarious health regen. You get a massive damage reduction. You can also temporarily run really fast, and you will not deplete your stamina at all. So it basically makes you go sicko mode. So you can just absolutely face tank rockets and just run a million miles an hour. It's pretty wild. It is a fantastic booster, and it's probably something that's quite useful for solo players. However, it's probably the only thing that I can recommend in this pass, and it's behind the third page, which is 275 medals to get there. So, and it's already 80 medals at that point anyway, so that's a lot of work for just, you know, better stims. So, I don't know, in my opinion, I'd just say run the medic suit if you're really conscious about stims, so you can run more, pack more of them. So, yeah. That's Viper Commandos. Now, Freedom's Flame. Freedom's Flame is fantastic. Probably one of the strongest Warbonds out there as of right now. And it is... yeah, it's good. It's really, really fucking good. I cannot recommend this enough. If you like killing bugs, this is the pass for you. So first of all, the armor, again, looks really, really cool. And it reduces the damage. It increases your damage resistance to fire. So, you effectively won't just go, oh shit, I'm on fire, oh, I'm dead. That doesn't happen with this armor. You get a huge window to hell dive and get out of the fire, and it's really, really, really good. You pretty much want to be running this armor when you're running any of the weapons from this Warbond, because you're gonna kill yourself a lot otherwise. Again, you do get some cosmetics for like your hell pods and stuff with this pass. If you like orange, there you go. I personally don't like orange. I think it's a bit too loud and silly, but you know, it is what it is. So, this is the Cookout. It is a Punisher pump shotgun that fires Dragon's Breath shells. It is one of the best guns for killing bugs in the game. It is ridiculous. It's only light armor pen, but anything that you hit is going to set on fire. That includes Hulks, Chargers. I was struggling to think of their name for a second. Bile Titans. Like, it will set fire to basically fucking anything in front of it, and the spread is huge. And it does a lot of damage, I have to say. It does a really impressive amount of damage. Obviously, again, it's a tube-fed shotgun. You can reload on the fly and top offload whenever you need to. It's a really good shotgun. I've had a really fantastic time with it. It's one of my favourite guns for bug killing, and it has replaced, more than likely, my previous favourite gun for bug killing. Although I do still like to run it every now and again because it's really good. But we'll get to that in a bit. Again, you get some more armor. This is medium armor, the medium armor set, so slightly different design, but, you know, equally just as badass looking. Again, you get some bright orange ship and everything like that. And then you get this. My god. So, the support weapon flamethrower is fantastic. But sometimes you just want to run something explosive, like a recoilless rifle or a grenade launcher, something of that nature. The Torture basically allows you to do that, because this is a primary flamethrower, and it is really, really powerful. This thing is basically just as strong in terms of how quickly it can kill things. It just has reduced range, and obviously the canisters are smaller, so you find yourself reloading a lot more often, but you do have double the amount of canisters. This thing is fantastic, and if you really want to just have that power fantasy of having a flamethrower and being an absolute psychopath, Congratulations. This is basically it. It also looks stinking awesome. Like, that is just such a cool looking flamethrower. It is wild. Again, it's another fantastic weapon. I quite like alternating between this and the cookout. And yeah, they're great. They're fantastic. And then lastly, we have some things here. We have Firebomb Hell Pods. This is kind of eh. It basically makes it so that when your Hell Pod comes in, when you respawn, everything around you is set on fire. Well, and by everything around you, I'm pretty, like, it says here, it's like units, basically. So I don't think it sets the ground on fire, but I don't know, I've not used it, so... But, it's... I imagine it's okay, but, again, I can't see it being, like, the most fantastic thing in the world, personally. And again, you get an exosuit colour scheme, which looks pretty cool. And then you get this little fella, the Crisper. If you want to creme brulee enemies, there you go. It's okay. I have to say, this thing is okay. Its range is absolutely friggin' tiny, though. So this is sort of like your point blank, I'm having an oh shit moment, and, like, my torture is out of ammunition, or my primary is out of ammunition. Switch to this thing, just start, like, you know, spraying fire around. It's basically like a pepper spray canister. A really spicy pepper spray canister. It's okay. It's funny. It's funny. But I think there are better secondaries. This thing's just purely for memes, but it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not really the sort of thing that I like to run normally. So that's Freedom's Flame. Chemical agents. I'm just going to say it how it is. Probably skip this one. It's pretty much a reskin of Freedom's Flame in every sense of the word. Like, you've got resistance to gas damage in its effects. You've got green hell pods instead of, you know, like orange ones. You get a gas grenade. You get the sterilizer, which is basically the support weapon flamethrower, but it fires gas. And more green stuff. And you get the sterilizer, but as a rover, which is okay, I guess. It feels like a reskin. I'm sorry, it feels like a reskin, because it's just... not to mention as well, look how atrociously expensive this is. 110 medals. It's silly. It's silly. I'm sorry, but this is just silly. The only thing that I think is even remotely interesting in this pass is the stim pistol. But again, it's behind page 3 of this pass, so you got to go through 300 medals to get to this point. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't really recommend this pass. It's... like, if you've got literally nothing else and you're bored as fuck, like, fair enough, go for it, but... like... I don't know. It just... it feels like a reskin of Freedom's Flame. Which is... meh. I don't know. And if you're wondering what gas does, it basically confuses enemies. It confuses enemies into sort of like not really knowing where they are and things of that nature. So it's more of like a confusion tactic. But you've got to realise that there's already a stratagem that allows you to just place down a huge cloud of gas and confuse enemies anyway. That doesn't require this pass. So you might as well just use that. Yeah, Chemical Agents was not very well received on launch, and I can't really say as I recommend it either. Just quickly going back through this to make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, okay, I haven't. Okay, good. So, yeah. Just get Freedom's Flame. Freedom's Flame's better. Truth Enforcers! I'm just going to say it how it is. This pass is okay. It has a couple of things in it that are really funny, but I'm going to be entirely honest, I bought this for the drip. You have really cool looking hell pods. I quite like the red and black. Looks really cool. You get some really cool armor that kind of reminds me of the Imperial Guards from like Star Wars. It's just, yeah, it looks really cool, really intimidating. Has cool factor out the wizzo. Like, it's just, it's awesome. But there are some cool things in here. One of the coolest things is Dead Sprint. So Dead Sprint is kind of funny, and I'll show you what that is in here. So this is regular sprint, which is called stamina enhancement. It increases all Helldiver stamina capacity and recovery. It's pretty nice. A lot of people like to run this. What Dead Sprint does is it allows Helldivers to keep sprinting even when they are out of stamina, and instead it will start draining health. Now, that's kind of cool, and you can pair this up with things like the meth stims and things of that nature, and it's kind of cool. You can basically just run around for ages. Depleting your health, it adds about an extra 40 seconds onto how long you can sprint, which is kind of cool. However, there is a very funny thing that you can do with Dead Sprint if you have someone else who's running missions with you, brings Vitality Enhancement, allowing all Helldivers to resist injury. This actually reduces the amount of damage you take when your health is being drained from Dead Sprint. And as a result, you can sprint for like nearly 2.5 minutes. Which is really, really dumb and really, really funny. So yeah, that's just a cool little thing you can do. It's goofy, it's silly, but like it's kind of fun. It's like a fun little silly side strat that you can do. I've done it a couple of times. It works really well. Okay. Now I'm just gonna say how it is. The weapons in this pass are okay. They're not amazing. They're not shit, or at least 2 of them aren't. There's one that I don't think is particularly fantastic, and I've used it a few times, and it just really feels really underwhelming. But anyway, this is not that weapon. The Halt is probably one of the strongest weapons in this pass, and it's basically the Punisher shotgun, but it has, you might notice it says light armor pen and medium armor pen. It has a fire selector mode. It starts off with flechette rounds, which is medium armor pen, so you can kind of punch through a lot of things really well. And it has the buckshot effect, so you don't really have to worry too much about where it is you're aiming. And the light armor pen one is stun shells, so it basically fires these little EMS pellets. It's really good for bots to basically slow them down. It's kind of funky. I will say it's okay. This shotgun is okay. Its tube capacity is smaller, at least as far as I remember. I don't know if it's been changed at all since then, but I remember that it was significantly smaller than all other pump shotgun versions. So you did find yourself running out of ammo quite quickly. And when you're being chased by like 5 or 6 berserkers, it's not great because it takes about 2 shots for each of them. So, and you didn't have enough shells to really fully deal with that. So yeah, it really feels like a weapon that you need to bring a high capacity secondary with, which there are a couple that you could pick. But yeah, it's It's okay. It's probably the better primary. The Reprimand. This gun is weird. It feels very much like an acquired taste, but in a lot of cases I have to say this thing just feels like it's either a gun that you like or you hate. Because some people have said that this gun's really good and they've had a great time with it, and other people, like myself and one of my friends, this thing has really... it feels messy. First of all, its accuracy is terrible. I've been trying to plink enemies with it in semi-automatic fire mode, and the bullets are all over the place. Like, I'm taking my time between shots. I'm not, like, spam clicking or anything like that. Shots are just all over the place. It is just the most inaccurate fucking thing I've ever fucking shot. I'm actually starting to wonder if I should have even... if this thing should have even bothered coming with a fucking sight out of the factory. It's not good. Its accuracy's terrible. It kicks like a goddamn mule, which for a SMG is really fucking confusing. Like, why does it kick so much? It's using pistol caliber rounds. And as such, the damage is, you know, a lot lower as well. It is medium armor pen, which is the one thing I will say about it that's pretty good. But yeah, I think the magazine capacity is a little bit too small. I think it kicks way too hard. I think it's really inaccurate, and I don't think it's really doing enough damage. It's... yeah, it's really underwhelming and a little bit disappointing for me personally, because I thought this would be a really good competitive choice for the Liberator Penetrator. But sadly not, I do not think. Oh, and also another big downside to it as well, but I can kind of understand why that isn't the case. This isn't one-handed like the other SMGs, but I reckon you could one-hand this thing quite easily, so I feel like that is something that needs to change. For a bit of a palette cleanser, though, I would like to talk about this armor a little bit further and actually talk about the unflinching modifier. This does a lot more than it says. This does a lot more than it says. It was actually disclosed by one of the devs a little bit ago. Obviously prevents Helldivers. It helps to prevent Helldivers from flinching when hit. That is fantastic, because I personally like to play with the ADS going into the first-person view. I quite enjoyed how that was in Ghost Recon Wildlands, and I like it here now. So that's my style of play. I know it's a little bit weird, but I'm one of those people that like that sort of thing. So for that, the flinching, really helpful, because when you flinch normally, you cannot aim. It is impossible. You cannot do it. It is ridiculous. Other things that this armor does that it doesn't tell you is it makes you a lot more resistant to explosions and a lot less likely to get flung across the map by a hunter when it twats you with its tongue. All these things are phenomenal. Oh, it also makes you cackle like a maniac every 5 seconds. I don't know why it does, but it does. So yeah, I would say that statistically, this is literally the best armor in the game as a result of unflinching. Because it really just takes a lot of the annoyances of combat away. And it allows you to just fucking kill things without getting flung about into a wall, or flopping over, or just, you know, having your leg explode. You know, it's very strong armor. It's really strong. It is perhaps the one armor that has actually been really competitive with the Democracy Protects armor, I think it's called. The one that gives you a 50-50 chance of not dying when you take lethal damage. This is like the only armor that has come close to competitive, in my opinion. So, yeah. this stuff rocks. And it also has a light armor version, which I always run now. I really, really like it. And you don't need to run the shield backpack anymore. Because I used to run the shield backpack all the time because of the fact that I hated getting bonked about and stuff like that. Don't have to run that anymore, so it's massively opened my loadouts. So, yeah, this armor, absolute fucking godsend. Yeah, and again, this armor looks really cool. So yeah, there's that. And then there's the Loyalist. The Loyalist is okay. If you like the Purifier, which is a charge-up, exploding meteor armor pen plasma weapon, you will like the Loyalist, because it is a pistol version of the Purifier. It's a medium armor pen, it's one-handed because it's a pistol, it's a charge-up, and it explodes. Devastators hate this thing. I personally am not a big fan of the plasma weapons that charge up and stuff like that. It's not my cup of tea. So, it's not really my sidearm of choice, but I cannot deny it is one of the best pistols in the game right now, currently, I would say. It is very solid. And that is Truth Enforcers. Next up, Polar Patriots. Polar Patriots statistically has the best weapons in the goddamn game. I would strongly encourage that everybody buys Polar Patriots at some point in their playthrough. Perhaps make it the first pass that they get, because you get some really, really good guns. The armor is okay. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. You do have heavy armor though. I think it's all heavy armor. Okay, no, there is a light armor type as well, so there is that too. But yeah, there's two heavy armor variants as well. Yeah, all of this stuff really, really, really solid. The Tenderizer is probably the best primary weapon in the game. I personally do not like it. I much prefer the Liberator Penetrator, but this is a very good competitive side grade. It has a select fire that allows you to change the fire rate of it. It's light armor pen. It hits like a truck. It's really quite strong. Yeah, I would say that this is a really, really, really solid competitor to the Liberator Penetrator, and again, one of the best primary weapons in the game right now. Really solid. Motivational Shocks, if I recall, is not fantastic. Allows all Helldivers to recover faster after being slowed by an attack such as... Actually, no, this is actually really good. Yeah, it basically makes it so that area effects like bushes and shrubs and stuff like that are basically just don't mean anything. They don't slow you down. So, yeah, that is actually a really handy one to have occasionally, because you do get some planets that are just a real pain in the arse to navigate. So, yeah. I'd say that's actually really good. The Pummeler. The Pummeler was my favourite bug-killing weapon. This thing, despite the fact that it's only light armor pen, it does an absolute monstrous amount of damage. And it is stable, it's really controllable, and it staggers enemies. Against bugs, really handy, because you could just keep pushing them back, slowing them down, preventing them from getting close. Because if bugs get close, you're dead. This is an absolutely beastly weapon. I cannot recommend this thing enough. It's also one-handed, so you can use it with the riot shield if you really want to. It is the best SMG in the game. Hands down. No competition whatsoever. There's also the Incendiary Impact Grenade. It's basically just the Incendiary Grenade, but it explodes on impact instead of having a time delay. It's there. It's basically a Molotov cocktail, pretty much. probably a pretty decent thing for killing bugs with. Not really messed around with too many grenades. I've only ever really used the frag grenade and the thermite grenade. So can't really speak too much for the grenades, but I've heard other people say really good things about them. So there you go. And then here's the purifier. Oh, fancy that. Yeah, this is literally the same as the loyalist, but bigger, and it does more damage. Again, it's identical. It's literally identical, except for the fact that it isn't one-handed. So, if you like one, you'll like the other. Again, get some light armor. That's pretty cool. This is actually really good for soloing because it reduces the range at which enemies can detect you. So if you're trying to, like, be a bit of a pacifist in your thing, you're just trying to run around and collect all the loot and then leave. Probably a good thing because it will stop enemies from slowing you down. And here's the verdict. The verdict is probably one of the best secondary weapons in the game. Great against bugs, great against bots. It's my absolute favourite bot pistol. Absolutely murders berserkers. If you run out of ammo for your primary, switch to this thing, dump the entire mag into a berserker, it will die. Unless you're an absolutely fucking shit shot. It is a fucking beast of a pistol. Not much has really come close. Oh, and it also sounds meaty as, so it is just absolutely fantastic. I would just... Best pistol. It's just hands down best pistol. Would strongly recommend you get it. And that is Polar Patriots. All round probably one of the best passes, and again, statistically, it has the best weapons in the game. And then there's Steeled Veterans. Steeled Veterans is okay. It has probably the other best pistol in the game, the P4 Senator, which is a 6-shot revolver that has heavy armor pen. You can kill heavies with this thing. You can kill a Bile Titan with this thing if you aim it right. It does take a fair few rounds, but if you just keep aiming for the noggin, eventually it will go down. This is my favourite bug-killing pistol. Makes dealing with those mortar spewers, the green ones, really fucking easy. Like, if you don't have an explosive weapon or anything like that, just shoot through its head, just shatter its skull, and you got a big iron on your hip. It's just that's just what this thing is, and it is absolutely fantastic. It is worth if you're in the middle of combat, I would say you should always fire all the way down to the last round and then do a full reload from empty, because that will be faster. Because from empty you use a speed loader. If you're out of combat and you just you've got some time, I would say you could still rounds top off reload, but it is slower. So I would say that if you can possibly avoid it, I would recommend just using the speed loader wherever you possibly can. But yeah, absolutely fantastic sidearm. Cannot recommend it enough. The Liberate Concussive, I'm gonna be honest, I fucking hate this thing. Some people really like it. For me, I absolutely hate it. You could shoot at the side of a wall and you would still shoot yourself in the nuts. It is so inaccurate. It's just ridiculous. There's absolutely no reason as to why that scope is there, because it's doing a whole load of sweet fuck all. And it feels really underwhelming. I do think this thing is supposed to be more suited to the bug front than the bot front, because I used it on bot front and it was a miserable experience, and I've never used this thing ever again since. So I would say, yeah, you should probably try using this thing on the bug front. It is concussive, so it does stagger enemies, so it's kind of doing the same thing that the Pommeler does, except the Pommeler, I think, does it better, because it's stable and you can actually fucking hit things, because it's actually an accurate gun. But, it is what it is. It also has absolutely massive magazines. As you can see, it has a drum magazine there. So, it has absolutely monstrous magazines. But despite that, and despite having a really slow fire rate, I do still find that you burn through them pretty freaking quickly because of the light armor pen and the really pathetically low damage. It takes like half the magazine to kill one enemy, in my experience, so... yeah. Probably the one fly in the ointment with this pass, I would say. It's not great. And again, you get the same sort of armor that was in Polar Patriots. It gives you limb health and things of that nature. This is a medium armor. It's quite cool because it's got that really neat prosthetic arm there. If that's sort of something that you want to have on your character. And then you get the Incendiary Grenade, which, again, is kind of like the Incendiary Impact from earlier. Yeah, it's the same thing, but it's on a time delay fuse, so you've actually got a chance to run the fuck away before you burn to death. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The Breaker Incendiary. Really good side grade to the Cookout from Freedom's Flame way back when. Magazine fed, fully automatic, so a little bit more versatile. I will say you burn through the ammo really fucking fast, so you do need to keep an eye on your ammo when you're using this thing. But yeah, this was one of the best bug front guns way back when this was like one of the first passes that came out, and I have to say, it still holds up. Still holds up really well, really fucking strong. Would strongly recommend. And then there is the Dominator. This thing has not received any changes, and I've heard people say that there's actually some pretty decent things going on with this thing at the moment. Last time I used it, I thought it was really underwhelming and shit, but that's just my experience. I've not really used it since, so I don't really know if it's changed all that much. It is medium armor pen, and if I remember rightly, it does actually have explosive rounds, despite the fact that it doesn't say. And yeah, that's what's going on there. And then you have flexible reinforcement budget, which this is a strictly like, if you find yourself dying an awful lot when you're soloing, this is one of those things that can be like, is whatever, you know. It's kind of a meh booster if I'm entirely honest, but there you go. And there you go. That is all of the Warbonds in Helldivers as of the 19th of November 2024. I hope this helps. I hope it helps you to get an idea as to what's worth getting and what isn't. Of course, you know, it's only my opinion. I'm just a bloke on the internet, just giving my opinion. Feel free to get whichever pass you want, experiment. Whatever your playstyle is, go for the passes that you think will lend yourself to that. Obviously, I've gone with the ones that I've gone with, and I think they're fantastic. And, yeah, so I hope this helps, and democracy be with you.